All right, so we're not going to start out with any music with this one. And I'm just trying to get all my shit off before it gets too late because once 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock hits, I will not be responding to this crap. I wanted to come in and talk several things. Um, and in this video, I am going to reveal the age that both me and Tiffany was when when we experimented with each other, okay? And it's not when she was 13 or when I was 18 or 19. Again, um you're listening to the narrative of a sick stalker, that of which I will be exposing and making this clear to everybody who Mike is, and why he's doing what he's doing. Now, what I do want to say is that I'm not a part of the LGBT community like that. I don't know why. Like literally for like the past 10 years, I felt stalked by that when being with a woman is not even my forte. So it's weird that I've been dealing with this because I am not into women. I've said it numerous times that the times that I did do it, which was only with one person because it wasn't something that I've ever actively been doing, I didn't even really enjoy it. And I'm not here to discuss sex stories. Even my last channel, I never did that. Even my family vlogging channel, there was never any sex that was discussed. I was about to say disgusting or disgusted. There was never it. I'm not on here to talk about sex in that manner, even though there have been times where I've clearly turned some men and women on like a motherfucker. Clearly. Okay. So I will be revealing the age that we were. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. I think this is more about like certain people, not the entire LGBT community. Notice how I don't reject the entire LGBT community, even though I've dealt with psychotic DL gay men as well as psychotic DL gay women on here. I still have love for the LGBT community because I have friends that are gay, lesbian, and trans. Okay. So I'm not the type of person that is going to allow, um, I'm not the type of person that's going to allow um, certain people from certain groups to cause me to feel any kind of hate because on a daily basis, if I feel hatred for anybody, I know what to do with that hate. Okay, let's just put it like that. Um, First of all, Brandy, again, and you know what? I kind of saw in my foresight that she was there to start crap with me. I don't care. That's what everybody does in that sector, pretty much. And I'm pretty sure that I know who is coaching her behind the scenes, which is stupid because she knows exactly the type of people that we are dealing with here. Okay. I'm going to talk kind of low. First of all, um, I'm not gonna let any time go by where Mike is gonna get off his little shenanigans. We're not gonna do that. Now, anybody with half a brain, which okay, let me go ahead. Okay. Brandy, you need to go and maybe get adjusted to your new meds because you just insulted me on your community wall. And I'm not gonna go back and listen to that show that I did. I don't think I called you fat. You just insulted me. You just insulted me on your show. That's because you were fake playing around with that lie that you knew was a lie in that sector. That's why I brought you up. Now, let me block you out of my chat. Bye. Because you're not going to come over here and talk shit to me. They are absolutely insane. And no wonder y'all so lonely and attached to each other because you cannot have, first of all, Brandy, let me start off by addressing you. I was accepting and kind to you, even though um, you were being roasted for sleeping next to your ex-girlfriend's excrement in the bed. Notice how I was still accepting and kind to you. So I just want to remind you of that because I could have been a bitch about it when you initially came in my chat room. You began to come in my chat room, not the other way around. Remember? So I don't know what you're talking about. And instead of rejecting you and or either ignoring you, I was very kind to you. So let me just remind you of that because I could have rejected you based upon the fact that, people were roasting you because of you laying next to your ex-girlfriend's excrement in a shitty bed. And I didn't do that to you, did I? So take that into consideration. I was really, really nice to you and accepting and did not judge you for it either. So you're not dealing with a gang stalker. You're not dealing with somebody in that sector. You're dealing with a real person. That is I show love to people unconditionally. Okay. All right. Now let's get back on what I wanted to talk about because she's trying to distract from what I was talking about totally. I am addressing Mike. First of all, one of the first signs of a man who is either a child abuser and or a pedophile is a man that is harassing and stalking a woman with children. And for years I've been a mother for almost 30 years. I have a 25-year-old child and it's funny. It looks funny whenever a man is talking to, and I'm not used to that. If I'm out somewhere with my children, men are not coming up to me. Like I've never experienced that. When I lived in Kansas City and Kansas, a majority of my life. I didn't experience that until I moved to Georgia, to where I would be somewhere with Jacob and a strange dude would come up to me. I think that men need to be careful with that because women should be aware that a man that does that something is could possibly be off about him. Now when you come to YouTube, there's this black manosphere that makes it a point to harass and stalk women with children. And I believe that all of those men are either abusers of children, women, or both. So everybody that has witnessed everything that has went on the past 10 years knows what kind of pervert Mike is. Everybody knows what type of person he is. I'm here to break it to him, with an exception of the weirdos that support him. Every normal person knows that Mike is a predator. And that includes people that are straight, people that are gay. It's just people who are good people recognize what type of person Mike is, right? Everybody knows. So I don't, that, I'm not concerned about that. I know that everybody knows who everybody is at this point. That's already been established. Mike can come on here 20 times per day out of the blue talking about various disgusting things, but we all know that that is because that is what is on his mind and in his consciousness on a daily basis. Nobody can ever refute that. It's just the reality of it. Okay. I want to remind y'all that Mike is a person that I only ran into on the internet 10 years ago. I don't know Mike. Mike has never been around me. I want to address the bullshit that he is talking about. If you are dumb enough to listen to somebody that doesn't even know basic math, you don't know basic math, do you? If you know basic math, then you would know that in 1977, I was born in June of 23rd. In 1982, the year that Tiffany was born would have made me, in the month of May, 4 years of age. So for an entire month or so, I was four. Tiffany was a newborn baby, and then I turned 5 years old in June 23rd. So anybody that has the basic math skills knows that. Here's another thing. Just because I met Tiffany at the age of 13 doesn't mean that there was any sex between us, because there was not. I am not a lesbian. I don't sit around craving sex with women. It doesn't happen. Whether or not lesbians or that are in that sector, because there's a lot of lesbians in that sector that are mentally ill. I know lesbians that are normal. I know lesbians that are normal, right? I see them all the time in social media. They make their live streams. I don't believe that they are stalking me. It is these people who are in that sector that are very mentally ill and unhinged. So I've never, ever, ever at any age, been sitting around saying, ooh, I want to have sex with a woman. Now, I've went through phases in my life. I remember when I was in my early 30s, and I was going through anger with men, and I was like, "Up, I'm a lesbian." You know what I'm saying? But I'm not. I've had one experience with one woman my entire life. Period. It's not something that is a part of my sexual profile. The fact that I have came to social media and ran into this group of people on YouTube is messed up, because lesbianism, bisexuality is not a part of my sexual profile, nor has it ever been. And you know what's crazy is that gay people do not want people to misinterpret them. They don't want people to disrespect them. But yet my sexuality has been disrespected throughout the years. I've been going through that for over 10 years. Literally, when I moved to Georgia, I got swatted The police called on me because I went live and said, hey, I am not bisexual. Somebody didn't like that and called the police. So it's clear that the people in that black sector are mentally ill. Why do you want me to be a lesbian? I have no idea, but I'm not. And you can't change that. You're never going to be able to change that. Okay. Now, before I get into the age that me and Tiffany were when we had our experience together, I'm never going to discuss this again because why are we discussing this? This is embarrassing. This is the reason why people in general don't respect black people. This is the reason why. Am I a sex worker? No. Am I a webcam model? No. Am I on here selling sex stories and using sex to get attention? No. My channel prior to being flagged falsely by trolls was filled with nothing but readings. I don't give a damn if you have a problem with me being a witch or a tarot card reader. And I'm going to tell you something. Y'all need to quit disrespecting Miss Cleo. I hate it when people do that. Y'all sound so ignorant. Miss Cleo was not a fraud. Miss Cleo took a Hollywood deal. But other than that, Miss Cleo was an authentic psychic. I know Miss Cleo. I don't know her personally, but I know what I've heard through the grapevine, through spirit. All of us are supposed to have some level of intuition and psychic abilities. It's called discernment. It's something that God gives us all. So that the whole Miss Cleo joke, I don't care. You people need to go figure out why you are obsessed with a man who is clearly a predator. Let's deal with that. Let's deal with that. All of you disgusting females that hung around with Mike, you knew what type of predator he was and the things that he does. And yes, I met up with him. Yes, I did. Did I ever leave him along with my children? Nope. No. Meeting up with someone doesn't automatically place somebody's children in danger, because I can promise you that if he'd have ever tried anything, he wouldn't have never laid a goddamn hand on any of my children, and I would have folded his bitch ass up like a goddamn pretzel. I don't think a lot of y'all realize who you are dealing with here. So Mike has been around me and he's never done anything crazy, but he does express his sick and sick-minded behavior on the internet. He does. And I personally think he's sick. I think that you'd have to be a very sick person to sit over there and listen to him constantly talk about his voodoo doo-doo rituals, which, by the way, hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right. You know what's crazy is that funny how I have spoken to and have always gravitated towards boys more so, um on a like a romantic or a sexual level. And it's funny how there's weird people on this website that want to say no, 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 let's talk about gay. No, 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 let's talk about pedophilia. That's not a part of my sexual profile. It's not. Okay. The reason why people talk about that a lot is because it is something that turns them on. It is what attracts the audience that watches them. Like, for example, that girl Blue over there. She's literally dropping revenge porn, has a picture of my entire ass on her community wall. Now, do I appreciate that? No. Do I appreciate this weird female who's obviously a lesbian trying to traffic my images? Nope. Am I going to sit over here and get upset about it? Nope. I'll let spirit handle her. But clearly, we know what type of people we're dealing with. I mean, when you people do the things that you do, right, in that sector, when you make accusations that you have absolutely no proof of that are not the truth, but then you go right behind yourself and do the exact same accusation that you've claimed someone else has done, are you not paying attention? I don't think crazy people really know that they crazy. I've never molested a child ever. I've never been involved in sex trafficking or the sex industry. I hate the shit. I have never ever ever dropped revenge porn on anybody. I've never dropped revenge porn on Tiffany. Never. But yet this group of people that are trying to do this to me have done this to me. Only thing you never would be able to do is traffic me and prostitute me. You will never do that. Like y'all got that shit off when it came to Mike. But other than that, you could never come for me. Funny how that's happening. Funny how these people apparently are so hard up and down on their luck that she's literally trying to advertise a sex tape. So everybody looking at that and hearing about that knows that you people are the predators and that you're lying. Now, I think that it was a nice try. A lot of people are kind of weirded out by the fact that y'all harass and stalk people every single day, lie on people, do what you do every single day. But then everything that you do every day, you claim that somebody's doing it to you, even though nobody has witnessed or seen me do any of that. It's very strange and bizarre. I digress. I can't deal with that kind of craziness. All I know is that my reputation is clear. My consciousness is clear. My conscience is clear. My heart is clear. I'm good. I'm good on that. Okay. I'm getting ready to make some assassin spaghetti and do what I do with my boo, is what I'm about to do. I'm living real life. I don't know what y'all doing, and it feels good to be living real life. And it feels good just to let y'all know, those of you that support me and love me, it feels good that I got away from that evil, sadistic place, Georgia, as well as I got away from that crazy person. Listen, everybody knows that Mike is crazy. Everybody knows that. Nobody is looking at Mike as if he is an upstanding guy. Trust me, in the past 10 years, after video after video after video, a person's reputation goes viral. Nobody behind the scenes is saying, hey, look at this guy, Mike. He's an upstanding guy. No, everybody knows who Mike is. The only people that think that Mike is an upstanding guy are other predators like him. This is a fact. All right, let's get into what I want to get into, and I'm going to get out of here. How old was I when I had a sexual experience with Tiffany? How old was I? And trust me, this is something that I don't like talking about because I don't. It. I'm not even gonna lie. Me and Tiffany became good friends after she became an adult. But it's still not something that I like to talk about because when me and Tiffany were friends, the center stone and the focus of our friendship had nothing to do with sex. It didn't. It had nothing to do with sex. So, all of y'all are wrong because me and Tiffany, even though I feel like Tiffany either played a role within that sector, either let y'all manipulate her or something, Tiffany was not a lesbian from what I understood. Next thing I knew, when she came into that sector, all of a sudden her personality changed. She changed. And then people were running around claiming that me and Tiffany had a relationship sometimes for 20 years, that we were in a lesbian relationship for 20 years, which was definitely not the truth. First of all, I met Tiffany when she was 13. I didn't become friends with Tiffany until she was well over the age of 20. The first time me and Tiffany ever did anything intimate, I was 25 years old and Tiffany was 20. That is a fact. God is my witness. Let me say this again for the people that are fucking remedial and have comprehension issues. The very first time me and Tiffany ever had any, and I'm sorry to the LGBT community, as a heterosexual woman, I'm sorry I got to say this. I don't consider that sex. I don't, even though for purposes of the law, as far as like when you're talking about pedophilia, yeah, it's considered to be sex, right? If you're with an underage person, right? But as far as me as a heterosexual woman that prefers men, that only chooses to be with men, a woman cannot have sex with me. A woman cannot satisfy me. That's the end of the fucking story for me, right? But the first time me and Tiffany ever had sex, I was 25 years old and Tiffany was 20. End of story. Nothing had ever happened between me and Tiffany prior to that, with an exception of when Tiffany was 17 years old. She was either 16 or 17. I saw her around my baby daddy because Tiffany hung around my baby daddy's family a lot because she was dating his cousin Ivory. That's how I know Tiffany. That's how me and Aaron know Tiffany. She attempted to do something with me. And I told her, I said, you were too young. And that was one time. When I saw Tiffany, I'm going to run down the timeline for y'all real quick. And then we'll get back on to all of the circumstances surrounding me and Tiffany when we slept together when we were in our 20s. Okay. The night I met Tiffany, she was getting a ride from me and Aaron to go to be with his cousin who was only 15. I don't know what that I guess that's something that boys do. Aaron wanted to give a ride to his girlfriend, and her mother was okay with her being 13 years old and having a boyfriend. That's why no police were called. You gonna call the police on a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old having sex? That's ridiculous to say that. Now, everything else that was going on, I heard through the grapevine and I assumed something. I assumed because I went in to speak to Deborah, who is now deceased, which is Ivory's mother. I went in to speak to her and I saw Tiffany go in the room with Ivory. And I also saw Ivory's brothers in there with them. They closed the door, right? So I don't know if they watched Ivory have sex with her. I asked Aaron, I said, what's going on? He said, let's go. He said, let's go. Aaron was not even there. Aaron did not stay there. Me and Aaron went and got in the car and left. So you can consider that to be a crime if you want. I don't, you know what, to be honest with you, I don't even know if Tiffany got gang banged. Maybe I said that she was getting gang banged. I can't confirm that she got gang banged. I can't confirm that. Maybe I said it because I was pissed off at Tiffany because me and Tiffany was beefing at the fucking time and I wanted to make her look bad. Okay, maybe I'm guilty of that. I have no idea. But I know that Tiffany had a habit. She actually enjoyed being gang banged by black dudes. Is that my fucking fault? So I'm responsible for what somebody else likes to do with their body? Then also, I didn't even know that she was 13. 2 days later, I go over to Aaron's grandmother's house to visit, and I go down to his uncle's house. Tiffany was there at his uncle's house because his uncle didn't have running water or electricity. Literally, they were running an electrical cord from the grandmother's house down to his house. And Tiffany was there. And I told her, I said, I found out that you're 13. I sat and talked to her. I said, do you need me to take you home, Tiffany? You do not need to be down here with these people. She said, no, I can't go home because my mother is abusing me. This is the conversation that I had with Tiffany when I saw her 2 days later at Mickey's house, which Mickey is Ivory's father, coincidentally. So listen, you're claiming that I went and I had sex with Tiffany at the age of fucking 13, which is not the goddamn truth. If anything, I tried to get Tiffany the fuck out of there and I tried to take her home to her mother. Obviously, when I gave Tiffany a ride down to Ivory's house, which by the way, Ivory was only a couple of years older than her. I know that for a fact because I know all of these people, right? I had no idea that Tiffany was 13. When I found out, I went down there to investigate and I said, Tiffany, I will take you home right now. You need to go back home. I said, you do not need to be down here around these people. Aaron's grandmother is the one that sent me down to the house. His grandmother sent me down there. Now that I remember, keep in mind, this was 30 fucking years ago. Aaron's grandmother said, Shawnee, they got that young girl down there. Please get her. She's underage. Can you take her home? Because it's going to cause trouble. Literally, the reason why I went down there is because of Aaron's grandmother asked me to handle the situation. I went down there. I'm trying to get Tiffany to go home. Tiffany was dirty. You could tell she had not bathed. You could tell she had not ate anything. What did I do? I went and got her something to fucking eat and brought it back to her and went home. What the fuck can I do when she's refusing? Am I going to actually call the fucking police? No crimes were being committed. Nobody, I didn't witness Tiffany having sex with anybody. She was just there. What the fuck am I going to do? Call the police? I guess I could have called the police and reported her as a runaway. Her mother had already done that, I'm sure, because Tiffany did not go home. I had not spoken to her mother, which, by the way, yes, I have met Tiffany's mother. I've talked about this throughout the years. I think y'all just like to hear me talk about it. I've met Tiffany's mother several times. I've been to her house. Let's fast forward. I stayed the fuck away from there. I came home and I told my mother about what was going on. She said, see, she said, you need to stay out of that situation, stay away. I stayed the hell away. I stayed the hell away. Plus, also another thing, Aaron again at the time, Aaron was under the age of 18 when this happened. So Aaron did not. There was no statutory rape. But I went over there and caught Aaron, like, you know, doing some stuff. And I walked away from Aaron at that point because I was like, oh, you tripping? Let me go home. After that, I moved. I was still living with my grandmother at the time. I moved into my apartment when I was like 19. I think I got my first apartment when I was, I think the apartment that I'm talking about is where I lived when I was 20. So I'm in my apartment, right? Okay. And Aaron comes over, right? Because I was still seeing Aaron at the time. Me and Aaron, we were involved with each other from the time that I was 17 until I was 23. Okay. So Aaron comes over, and then, of course, he brings his cousin Ivory, who brings Tiffany with him. Tiffany was probably like maybe 15 or 16 at the time. I saw Tiffany approximately 3 or 4 times with Ivory. She was always in the company of Ivory. I was never alone with Tiffany like that. Tiffany was actually homeless at that time. I was not going to let that young girl live with me. I offered to take her home. I said, if you don't want to go home, y'all gonna have to leave here. Because she was trying to come over to my house and drink, and she was underage. When I was that age, I was smart enough to know to not let underage kids drink in my fucking house. That's against the fucking law. So I was not having that in my house. So I put them all out. I don't do that kind of shit. I don't let underage kids drink around me. I've never been like that. So I think that I saw Tiffany approximately maybe 4 times, twice at my apartment and twice around Aaron and them, all that whole time. I didn't see Tiffany again until several years later. This is a fucking fact. You know why? Because Tiffany ended up, she never went back home to her mother. She ended up with her baby daddy, Brandon. So y'all sitting up here trying to put this shit off on me when it was men who were with her underage. I didn't run into Tiffany again. Actually, I ran into Tiffany again when she was 18. I can't remember how I ran into Tiffany. I think, it was so fucking long ago. I can't remember how I ran into Tiffany. I know that Tiffany had my number and she would call me whenever she was in trouble. That's probably how. Trying to think, it may have been through Aaron's sister that kept us connected to one another. Thank God that they did, because it was plenty of fucking times. Oh, I regret ever meeting Tiffany. I regret ever knowing her. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Especially after she allowed all those lies to be told about me. I regret ever knowing her, because Tiffany definitely snaked me. And she wasn't my friend at the time. I had just met her. I didn't even know who she was. I didn't know how old she was. Back then, Tiffany, Tiffany would wear these black girl hairstyles. She had her hair cut. You remember when black girls would wear the stack on the side of their head, the layered stack hair? And it would swoop around in that's how she was wearing her hair. She looked older than what she actually was. I had no fucking idea how old she was, but I do regret ever being involved with her, period, throughout the years, because she did me dirty, and she know goddamn well that I was always looking out for her. Because even that night before I left, I said, Tiffany, or I said, are you I said, is she okay? I said, are you okay? And she was like, yeah, I'm fine. She looked at me like I had three heads. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You trying to interfere with my fucking fun? And Aaron hurried up and rushed me out the house. But I do know for a fact that all of those, it was only two of his brothers. Ivory and two of his brothers was there. And they were all under the age of 18. All of them. So and I was actually mad at Aaron after that. And he was like, well, hell, I didn't know how old she was either. Nobody knew that. Anyway, needless to say, uh fast forwarding to when me and Tiffany had our experience together. And so they, in that sector, they were trying to make it seem like I met Tiffany when she was 13 and I groomed her. Bullshit. How the fuck I'ma groom somebody I ain't never around? I don't know what the fuck. That shit is totally untrue. These people was making up this shit as they went along. That's not what happened. If you say that she wasn't your friend and you didn't know how old she was, then why run the risk of driving her anywhere? Because I didn't drive at all. It was my baby daddy. It was Aaron that was driving. I'm just the one that had the car. Again, it is not against the law to drive a 13-year-old to go and see her boyfriend who was only 15 at the time. That's not against the law. Is that against the law? No, it's not. They were claiming, Mike has been claiming that I had sex with Tiffany at the age of 13, which is totally fucking untrue. Understand that Mike and his thirsty ass has caused death and destruction to people because he's such a fucking liar. And he lies for attention. He's an attention whore. So that's what we're addressing. I committed no crimes, and it was not trafficking. They went as far as to say I was trafficking her. Well, funny how I didn't receive no money. I ain't never trafficked. No, I ain't never been involved with that lifestyle. Never in my life. And I put that on my life. I put that on everybody and everything that I fucking love in this world. I have never been involved with that lifestyle. In fact, I hate that lifestyle. I don't even watch porn. So, how the fuck are you committing a crime by driving driving a 13-year-old to go and visit a 15-year-old? It would be different if I was driving her to go see a grown ass fucking man. That's not what happened. It would be different if a grown man said, "Hey, Jamila, I need you to go and transport this 13-year-old down here to me." I'd be like, "Fuck no, I ain't doing that. What the fuck? Let me call the police." That never happened. And you know what? At the time that all of this was going on, first of all, I'm a year older than Aaron, even. Nothing like that ever went on. There was literally no crime being committed. Literally. I did nothing wrong. That's the whole point of me discussing this. Now, fast forward to when me and Tiffany became intimate together. I was 25 years old. And this is kind of embarrassing to admit to this, but one of the reasons why I know my age at the time is because I remember, because I was pregnant with my second child. Okay. At the time that it happened, which I didn't give birth to my first child until I was 24 years of age. No, I was either 24 or 20. I know that Ty was a year, a little over a year old. I know that that sounds bad, and it does, but at the time, my baby daddy, Frankie, he was trying to get a 20 something year old woman to settle down before I was ready. So I was definitely going through being bi curious at that time. Yes, I was. Yes, I was. I was curious about it. Um, it's a whole story behind it. It's a whole story behind it. And unfortunately, me and my baby daddy, me and Frankie, never were able to like recover from that situation. It's fucked up. That's why I always tell people, don't do that, because it was a whole thing that began to happen after that, to where and have I ever went around playing victim? Have I said Tiffany was some kind of vixen that was trying to ruin my relationship? No. It was a bad decision that was made. It was a lot of different things that happened after that I'm not going to get into, because it's water under the bridge. The point is that I tried it. Me and Tiffany became good friends. We did. I'm not even going to lie. We became very good friends when she was old enough. Me and Tiffany didn't become friends until she was what, like 19? That's when we became friends. And me and Tiffany, we became so close with, like, the times when she would come over to my house and visit, we would take showers together. We was just good friends. But as far as like the actual act of having sex with a woman, it's it's not enjoyable for me. It's not. It's not. I can honestly say, as a woman, that I did not enjoy licking or going down on another woman, or either vice versa. It was boring to me. It just wasn't for me. Am I a bad person for that? What was it, just because Tiffany wasn't the right person? What, I didn't like it. End of story. It wouldn't have mattered who I was with. It wouldn't have mattered. In fact, after that, I would actually make friends with lesbians that because I'm friends with everybody, but sex was never in the equation. It's not something that I enjoy doing. And especially being that I got stalked and harassed because of it, especially being that, like, I was like, oh, hell no. No, it's not worth being stalked and harassed the way that I did. And if I could go back and change it, it would have never happened. It would have never happened because it's not worth it to me. It's not. Sorry, not sorry for saying that. Okay. Not worth it for me. You can say if you're a woman that's truly into women, hey, more power to you. If that's what you like. Jamila didn't like it very much. Okay. And then not only that, it was very traumatizing being stalked by lesbians. And I don't hate all lesbians, but I hate those lesbians. I don't like your asses. I really don't. But as far as like just lesbians and bisexuals and gay people that are normal, I'm good with y'all. I just don't like crazy lesbians that act all mannish and aggressive. Yeah, I want to beat y'all asses. I don't like none of y'all like that are like that. And I kind of think Brandy's like that a little bit. Okay, I do. I kind of think she's kind of like that because literally I was nothing but nice to her, and the way she started shit with me was just ridiculous. If you knew her at such a young age, and even if you say, first of all, nobody waited to have sex with her. Nobody was sitting around waiting to have sex with Tiffany. And I wasn't around her. Do you not understand English, dummy? I wasn't around her. To groom somebody, you would have to be around them. You would have to be around them. When was I around Tiffany? I wasn't around Tiffany. Can you hear perfect fucking English? I was not around Tiffany until she was older. Is that something that you're not fucking comprehending? Hold on, real quick. How the fuck are you grooming somebody that you're not around? Grooming somebody would be, you would have to be around that person. Do you not know what grooming is? Then also, I was not waiting around to have sex with Tiffany either. That's a lie, too. So I don't know what the fuck, like y'all made up this whole scenario based upon what? Based upon some shit you had done? In fact, when I was around Tiffany, it was because Ivory brought her over to my house and I ended up throwing them all out. I made them leave because they were trying to drink alcohol underage at my fucking house. Definitely was not going to allow Tiffany to be having sex at my house with Ivory. That's never happened. So, y'all can spin whatever fucking narrative that you want to spin. That's y'all dirty, perverted fucking mind. Not only that, Tiffany was literally flirting with me. Tiffany is the one that actually, it was her idea. When we did end up having sex at an older age, Tiffany is the one that wanted that. Y'all made that up and she collaborated that fucking story because Tiffany was sick and angry because I did not want to be friends with her anymore. Period. End of story. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. The fact that I've had to take almost an hour of my goddamn time to come on here and fucking explain this shit, y'all gonna have to pay me for that shit. And trust me, I'm gonna get it. Because I personally don't give a fuck about what y'all talking about. I'm saying this so people will know the fucking truth. I want people to know the truth about the situation. That's why I'm discussing it. Because Mike immediately made up the lie. In fact, it was his idea to make up the lie. Tiffany wouldn't have ever thought of anything to do anything like that. Oh, I know how to get back at her. It's all about vengeance and lies with those fucking people. So, it is what it is. You can believe whatever the fuck you want, but I can fucking promise you that's your own fucking dirty mind. Because how the hell that shit gonna have, First of all, funny how the only accusation came from Tiffany, obvious fucked up in the head, turned out to be racist white woman who began stalking me. Also, let's deal with the fact that it was obvious that Tiffany was fucking stalking me. So don't y'all trying to make her out to be a fucking victim. At the time that the bitch started stalking me, she was in her fucking 30s. So kiss my ass. Mike is lying. It's all false outrage. He ain't never tried to jump. I tried to get her to go to the police. To the police for what? Tiffany knows that I ain't never touched her. So, and the times that we were friends, I kept telling her to stop whoring around. Do you think it made a difference? No, it did not. So, in fact, that was one of the reasons why I quit being cool with Tiffany. Had nothing to do with sex. She was not my girlfriend cheating on me or nothing like that. It was simply because her reputation was really bad too. And mine isn't. It is not a thing in my hometown that I done slept with everybody. No, 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 no. In fact, all of these people know that. Don't no woman want to hang around with a female that's sleeping around like that. Fuck that. Because Tiffany was affecting my love life, even though I take full responsibility and accountability for, the problems that me and Frankie had. But like it was after I broke up with Frankie to where Tiffany kept trying to get me involved with her sexual liaisons, and I fucking refused to do it. In fact, when we both got old enough to go to clubs, she would always suggest that we have threesomes and stuff all the time. I was like, no, fuck you. Your mama was Jay Kelly. You see, you Jay Kelly, retard. You know what it is that it's something wrong with you people's fucking brains. Okay, so let me screenshot you. Okay, because you going into my jar of death. Okay, have fun with that. The only people that are pedophiles is in that fucking sector. Why is it that you're claiming that I'm a pedophile, but yet I've never, ever, ever had any reports filed against me, and nobody had ever even heard anything like that about me, nor accused me until I ran into you weird sickos? Trust me, the whole world knows the truth. I don't even have to block your goddamn comment, although I am, because you make me feel uncomfortable. Y'all are some sick people, especially being that a lot of y'all in that sector, y'all make up sexual shit about people with their fucking kids. I'm not a part of y'all club. That's why all of y'all are sick and fucking dying, and everybody knows the goddamn truth now. So to all of my peeps that support me, y'all heard it. Me and Tiffany did not ever do anything until she was 25, until I was 25 and she was 20. And also another thing, I didn't become friends with Tiffany until she was 19. And I was not around her at all. Now I tell you who did have sex with her underage. Aaron's uncle, Mickey, who's now deceased. And her baby daddy, Brandon, who was also beating on her after she got older. So, it just is what it is. I was counting her body count according to what she was saying. And I made a decision for my personal fucking health to not, if I were going to be a lesbian, why would I want to be a lesbian with Tiffany? Usually lesbians want to have sex with a woman that don't have sex with men. That's the whole point of being a fucking lesbian. What's up, Stefan? Yeah, these people are sick, and all of them are pedophiles. That's why they're the ones that made up them goddamn lies. Uh huh. Well, Stefan, they feel guilt for being pedophiles, and they have to scapegoat on somebody else. That's why they feel guilty for shit that they probably did. I don't have that guilt because I've never done that before. Okay, which, by the way, we're talking about people that are clearly involved in the sex industry, also. Which, being involved in the sex trafficking industry typically is going to involve the trafficking of young girls that we've all witnessed some of these people doing. I'm not going to mention who, but we witnessed somebody on here with obviously an underage girl on OnlyFans. I'm not going to mention who because it would be allegedly. Because I don't know that girl, but it seemed like she was young to me. Now, I don't do shit like that. Everybody in the world knows that they made it up, and everybody in the world knows that those people are weirdos. More importantly, God knows the truth, and that's all that matters. And obviously, a lot of those people are very ungodly. And I don't have nothing to do with that. That's their business. All I know is that vengeance is mine, and we all know. In fact, I truly believe that it's a sex trafficking network. Black sector is a sex trafficking network. It's several prostitutes in that black sector, several, and pimps. Jamila don't have nothing to do with that. I've always had jobs, and then I started my business. Thank you. That's pretty much it. I've said what I said. I don't want. You know what? Again, like I stated, I've spoken to legal aid and an attorney, and what Mike is doing is factually fraud, which is how we're going to get him on the legal charges, criminal charges of fraud, is what Mike is going to be caught up with because it's factually fraud and revenge porn, also. Okay. So, and I personally think that part of the reason why they lied is because, and I think Tiffany was in on it. I think the reason why they lied is because they wanted to be able to do whatever they wanted to do to me and justify it. But you not only do you have no proof, and nobody in my hometown has ever heard of that. Nobody has ever witnessed that. There's never been a thing. Nobody has ever came up to me and said, "Hey, did you have sex with Tiffany at a young?" Nobody. That's never happened. Funny how none of that stuff ever came up until we ran into Mike in that black sector. So, it is what it is. And Mike needs to tread carefully because he's going to get a knock on the door by the police eventually. 'Cause we've had enough of his shit. What he's doing is considered to be stalking. And I've never liked Mike. I've always felt off when I've been around him. Mike actually tried to get me to perform a sexual act on him with Jacob in the same room just recently, last year. I told y'all about that. Me and Mike were sitting in the bed. We were not under the covers. We were sitting in the bed watching the newest Final Destination. And literally, this Fulio asked me to perform a sexual act on him with Jacob right across from us, literally. And I looked at him like he was a fucking idiot. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I said, I pointed at the kids. I said, what are you doing? I said, he was trying to get me to perform sex on him with my grown son and my 12-year-old in the same room with him. Literally. So we all know what kind of person Mike is. And the point is that finally I got the fuck away from him. Oh my God. And y'all not going to ruin that for me. And I'm going to try to bring him up on as many charges as possible. I am. I'm going to try to bring him up on as many charges as possible. But in the meantime, let me get up out of here because I do have a life and I have a man and I'm not a pedophile. So, yeah, my life is great. But I got to go. That's my limit. Okay? Y'all know the truth. Now, anybody that continues to repeat the lie is just a pedophile or either a sicko. You must be a very sick person. It's sick. They are very sick. All of these men from that black manosphere online that stalk women with children, what do y'all think those men are about? No man should even be talking to a woman with children. That looks weird to me. That looks weird to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that it should never happen, but I'm saying that under the context of what they're doing, look at what they're doing. Look at how they talk. Look at that. They're literally stalking women with children, hurling accusations at those women and being very sick while sharing penis pictures and photoshopping pornographic images of children. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We all believe you. Yeah, sure. Sure. Literally, this is a group of men that on a regular basis talks about having sex with children, photoshops sexual images of children, but yet the people that they're stalking are somehow the sickos. Right. Yeah, yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah. And I will admit this, that I should have never met up with Mike. But like I said, I'd have beat him to death. I would have beat Mike to fucking death if he'd have ever fucking tried to lay hands on my motherfucking kids. He'd have got his ass beat down. Because, just because it's a man don't mean that it next necessarily fight a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes to my children, I will snap, crackle, and motherfucking pop on your ass. And I'm just now realizing how sick Mike is, though. Especially since for like the past year or two, he's been talking about eating dookie, drinking urine, all of that stuff. Mike is a sick person. He really is very sick, and everybody knows it. Nobody is fucking mistaken about this shit. I gotta go though. I'll see y'all later. Oh, by the way, I'm not gonna be back tonight. It's Valentine's Day, and only a pedophile wants to talk about pedophilia on Valentine's Day. Also, by the way, I've never been with younger boys either. All of my boyfriends have, with an exception of Aaron, who's a year younger than me, but all of the men that I've had in my life have been older than me. So I'm actually into older, more mature men. Clock that T too while you at it. My man is a little older than me. I'm not going to say exactly how old he is, but my man is a little older than me. One other thing before I go, anybody that's telling that lie on me has hell to pay, and prayer will not help you, nor will your punk ass, weak ass candles. That sound good, Stefan. We having apple pie for dessert tonight. And I'm about to go down here and whip up some patty melts real quick. So I gotta go. All right, bye.